Hi guys, Josh here, aka Beards and Books. Today I am doing a spoiler-free review of To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Hope you enjoy. So hopefully you'll have seen my top 5 books of 2018 video that I put not too long ago. If not, I will of course leave a link to it in one of the corners above. In there I touched on To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. As I mentioned, this is one of the best books I've read in 2018. I've got a strained relationship with classics, so I went in this not expecting a lot, but I absolutely love the book, hence why I thought I needed to do a full review. So what I'm going to go over the plot summary. I'll keep it spoiler free, just give you enough of details so you know whether this is one for you or not. I'll include any positive points, and there are quite a few, within the plot summary, because a lot of it rolls around the characters and the plot, and then any negatives, which there really is very few, I'll include at the end of the video. So for the plot, To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee takes place in the 1960s in the deep south of America. This is actually in a fictional town called Macomb, which is set in Alabama. So the story focuses on the Finch family, starting with Jean Finch, otherwise known as Scout, who is the one that we see the book through, so we see it through her eyes, her older brother and their widowed father Atticus Finch, who is a lawyer and the other main character in the story. So starting off with the first sort of 100 pages to half of the book, this really focuses on building the family dynamic. You really get to see the love, the pride, the warmth that this family has for each other, which actually really aids itself to the book. Now with the first chunk of the book mainly focusing on the family and the family dynamic, not a great amount happens, if I'm honest. You follow Jean and her brother through school, through their talks of the town. They're introducing you to a lot of the side characters and people, the town myths, a lot of interesting stuff, but not a lot really happens. Though you'd expect that to be quite slow and expect that to be quite boring, at least I did anyway. But from where the characterization and from where the writing was done at such an interesting level, personally, even though nothing really happened, I couldn't put the book down. I was really engrossed. So getting into the main story. So as I mentioned, Atticus Finch, who is the dad, is a lawyer, and he is called upon to represent a black man who's accused of raping a white woman. Now, as you can imagine, in the deep south of America in the 1930s, this was a hot topic. Racial segregation, slavery, and equality, it wasn't a thing at that point. Equality was not a thing between the races. So when a white man being chosen to represent Tom Robinson, who is the defendant, was a really hot topic. We're shown really early on that Atticus Finch has really strong moral beliefs. He's someone that believes in equality. Someone believes that as a lawyer, everyone has the right to demand fair trial, and everyone has the right for, no matter whether you're whatever race you are, you should have a fair trial and be represented by a strong lawyer. The downside to that is the rest of the town of Macomb does not agree with Atticus, so at least most of the town doesn't. As I mentioned, the timing of the book, racial equality is not a thing. So a lot of people then turn aggressive to Atticus and the family, turn violent, and we're really engrossed in the town and the town dynamic. The Finch family go from being a really popular, really well-loved family to, quite honestly, a hated family. One of the plot lines that follows on from that, with the town becoming more and more aggressive, there are, of course, people within the town that think Atticus is doing the right thing and they help defend the Finch family. But most of the town disagree. Most of the town do not think Atticus should be involved in any way possible. With that, we then see Atticus juggling with his beliefs that everyone should have the right for a fair trial, but then also his parental beliefs that he needs to protect his family. His family get more and more engrossed in this. His kids are brought up very much in the same vein as Atticus, in believing that everyone is equal. So they believe Atticus is doing the right thing, but of course, when you're around people that don't, it quickly becomes sour. Obviously, given the type of storyline and given that this is a lawyer-centric story, we do end up eventually in the trial. I'm not going to go into it too much detail because obviously there are spoilers and there are plot twists and such that go on through the book. Only thing I'd say is the trial is the emotional level I felt tense reading this in the trial. You kind of know at this point what has happened versus what the town believes and what the town is being told. And it makes it very difficult to read the book and not want to fight for certain characters. I won't touch on the trial part of the storyline much more than that because I really can't say a lot without starting to spoil the story for you. The key points and the best points of this book that I really want to point out to you guys is the Finch family dynamic is done brilliantly. The emotional level, the pride, the love that you feel for the family is just done so well. I think seeing it through the eyes of Jean Finch is the best part of the book, at times also the worst part of the book, which I will touch on, but the emotional level is just brilliant. The fictional town of Maycomb is very well fleshed out. There are a lot of really interesting characters. For a short book, you're introduced to a lot of characters that really do make a difference to the storyline, whether they are main characters that have a lot of page time or smaller characters that are just in here and there. They're all relevant. They all mean something. And even the side parts to the town. So obviously we focus on the trial, but there are other things that happen in the town. It all makes sense, and it really gives you that sense of kinship in the town. Going on to negative points, obviously with the storyline being one around sexual abuse and racism, there are obviously high trigger points for anyone that is affected, quite understandably. So it is one I'd say be selective about if you think either one of those storylines would upset you. Obviously understandable, but it is done so well. The main characters and the people that we follow are not racist themselves. They believe in equality. It's just unfortunately the other members of the town that disagree. As I mentioned, with us following Jean Finch, who is 6 at the start of the story does span over 3 years, by the way, so obviously we do see her grow. One of the main points that I struggled with is the character, especially at the start, is understandably being 6, very childlike. So there are times where you're going through the story and you go through the childish tantrums, you go through the little bits like that, and it made it quite difficult to enjoy the character, especially at the start. That does change as it goes on, at least in my opinion, but it is a negative that I wanted to point out because at least at the start of the story, I found the character difficult to like. Overall, I would give To Kill a Mockingbird a solid 9 out of 10. It very, very came close to being the perfect 10 out of 10. I suppose the only reason it wouldn't for me is because, like I said, the character is slightly difficult to like at times. And there are parts of the story that are difficult to read, that it takes away nothing from the story, but I believe it's a solid 9 out of 10. If you haven't read To Kill a Mockingbird, it's one of those books that I believe everyone should read. No matter what genre, no matter what style you're into, I firmly believe everyone should read To Kill a Mockingbird. The fact that this was released in 1960 and has been on a print rerun ever since blows my mind. You can buy brand new 50th year anniversary editions, There are so many editions of this, hardcover, paperback, everything. It should be on everyone's shelf. I firmly believe everyone should read it. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. I don't do too many single book reviews, mainly because I find it quite hard to talk about them in detail without giving away spoilers. But this was such a good book. I enjoyed it so much I 100% wanted to talk about it more. Let me know down in the comments, guys. Have you read To Kill a Mockingbird? Did you enjoy it? What were your favourite points, your negatives? Any of you that haven't read it, is there a reason why? Is it one you want to pick up shortly? Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.